Hello and welcome dear students. Today we'll be doing the second part of On Killing a Tree by Jeev Patel. I hope that you remember that poem and you remember about Jeev Patel. So in the last class we had discussed the first and second stanza of the poem. So today I told you that we are going to learn about the poetic devices that are used in the poem, and also I'll give you the explanation for the third stanza. So, what are poetic devices? Poetic device is something that is used in order to give more significance or meaning to the words that are used in the poem. So what is the first use of a poetic device? It is used so that more meaning can be given to certain words that are used in the poem. And what is the second use? The second use is that it's used to enhance the beauty of the poem. Enhance the beauty of the poem means to increase the beauty of the poem. So there are many poetic devices that are used in English, and here are some of the examples, but these are only some of the many poetic devices that exist. So which are they? Allegory, alliteration, assonance, consonance, personification, imagery, metaphor, rhyme, and the list continues. But in this poem there are only few poetic devices, and let us go into detail about what those poetic devices are. So in the poem, the use of personification, metaphor, alliteration, and imagery is done. Now let us know in detail what is personification and what are the other poetic devices. So the first one is personification. It is there in the name itself. What do you mean by person? A person like qualities. So personification is giving human or life-like qualities to objects, non-living things, or an idea. So when you give a human-like quality to a non-living object or to any idea, then it is called personification. So for example, light danced across the street. Now here what is personified? Here the light is personified. And what quality is given to the light? Yes, the quality that it dances is given to the light. But we all know that in actual life a light can never dance. But just to increase or enhance the beauty of this sentence, it is said that light danced across the street. That means that there was a lot of light on the street. The next one is the wind howled in the night. Okay, now what is personified here? Yes, the wind is personified. And what is the quality of a human being that is given to the wind? Yes, it is howl. Howl means to make a loud noise. So what do you mean by this sentence actually? It simply means that the wind was very loud and it was making a very loud noise. Now, how is this poetic device personification used in the poem? So we see that throughout the poem, the tree is described to have feelings such as pain, healing, and wound. So throughout the poem, we see that poet Jeev Patel describes that when a man tries to kill a tree, it will pain or it will ache for the tree. But what will happen? It will still heal itself. So these are qualities. Healing and feeling pain are qualities that are actually attributed to a living being. So we'll move on to the next poetic device. The next poetic device is metaphor. So what is a metaphor? Making a comparison between things that are not related. So let us look at the example here. My brother was boiling mad. Now, boiling is an action that is done when water or any other substance is kept on fire and it starts to boil. Now, what is the meaning of this line here? My brother was boiling mad. Now, boiling mad means a person is extremely angry or very angry. So we can see that here a comparison is made between the action of boiling and a person being very angry. So this line means that my brother was very angry. Okay, so the action of boiling and being very angry is being compared, and we know that boiling and being angry is not at all related in any way. So now let us look at an example from the poem On Killing a Tree of metaphor. The bark of the tree is compared with a disease. Yes, which disease was it compared to? Yes, very good, leprosy. Okay, so leprosy is a disease, and we know that the outer appearance of the tree is just like leprosy, but in reality there is no relationship between the disease and the outer bark of the tree. So that is a metaphor that is used in a poem, and we have to see here that in a metaphor words such as like or as will not be used. The next poetic device that is used is alliteration. Now what is alliteration? Same letter or sound is produced at the beginning of closely related words. So for example, sheep should sleep in a shed. Now here if you see these words sheep, should and sleep, it all starts with the letter S. So that is alliteration, when same letter or sound is used very closely in a sentence. Now let's see the example from the poetry. It takes much time to kill a tree. Now here you may see that there is no letter that is very closely related, but there is the sound T. Takes, time and tree. It all starts with the same sound. Next example is bleeding bark. Here the same letter B is used to start the sentences. And in the next one, white, wet. Here also the letter W comes very closely and is repeated in the same sentence. So what is alliteration? Alliteration is when the same letter or sound is produced at the beginning of closely related words. So the words will be very close and it will start with the same letter. So now we can go to the very last poetic device that is used in the poem, and that is nothing but imagery. Now what is imagery? It is a visual descriptive. What do you mean by a visual descriptive? It only means that something or a picture is described in such a way that you are almost able to see that picture yourself, or you are able to see the picture in your mind. For example, look at this sentence. He felt as if the flowers were waving hello. Now when someone says these sentences to you, you can almost imagine some flowers saying hello to you. So imagery is a very strong poetic device which can create images in the mind of the reader. Now look at the lines in the poem that show imagery. Slowly consuming. So when the poet says slowly consuming, the tree is slowly consuming air, water, sunlight. You can see a tree growing from a seed to a big tree, or at least you will be able to imagine a big tree, isn't it? Then leprous hide. Leprous hide, when someone describes like it is like leprosy, you will be almost able to form that image in your mind. And bleeding. When bleeding is said, you can almost see blood running out from the bark of the tree. So these are some strong images that are used in the poem. So now let us go to the third stanza of the poem. So till now we saw how Jeev Patel actually mocks human beings who think that it is so easy to kill a tree. But in the last stanza, it is described how the tree is finally killed and how man's brutality or cruelty wins over everything else. So the last stanza says, no, the root is to be pulled out of the anchoring earth. It is to be roped, tied and pulled out, snapped out or pulled out entirely, out from the earth cave, and the strength of the tree exposed, the source white and wet, the most sensitive hidden for years inside the earth, then the matter of scorching and choking in sun and air, browning, hardening, twisting, withering, and then it is done. We see in the third stanza that Jeev Patel is again making fun of man, and he's saying that only hacking or chopping or using a knife is not going to kill a tree. You should pull it out from the roots, because the roots have gone deep inside the ground. He says that the roots are so deep down in the earth that it's actually very safe and secure over there. So it's not enough that you just cut it. It is very important that you pull it out from the roots. And when you pull out the root, you will see that it is white and wet inside because it still has life. He says, "Oh, cruel human being, you have to tie it with rope and you have to pull it out of its roots. Only then you will be able to kill the tree." And then he says, once the roots are out, the strength that was hidden inside the depth of the earth for so long is finally exposed. And now it stands so weak in front of human beings. And Jeev Patel says that at this particular time, it is very easy to kill the tree, because you just have to leave it in the sun and you have to leave it without air and water. It will start becoming brown and it will start hardening, and then it will finally die. And then it has to no more face the cruelty of man.